Okay, good afternoon, everybody. We'll get the webinar underway in just a few moments. We'll just wait for everyone to come in and just grab their seats because, yeah, a lot of people tend to join at 12 o'clock. So we'll just give everyone just a minute or two just to do that, and then we'll get underway. We'll be back with you in a moment. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar with Payroll Premier and Single Touch Payroll. My name's Corey Anderson. I am a Customer Success Manager with Reckon. So just before we do get underway, just want to run through a little bit of housekeeping. First of all, audio. When the webinar begins, we have a couple of options there. We've got the computer, which we do recommend, so listening through your speakers, or you can dial in by choosing the phone call option and following the prompts there. Everyone is muted on today's webinar, just to make it a better experience for everyone. We've done that, so there's no way you can unmute yourselves. So everyone is muted. So if you do have questions, we're using a tool called Slido. Please don't put any questions in the go-to webinar question box because we're monitoring the Slido questions, not the go-to question box. So if you do have questions, go to slido.com and in the event code box, put in RPP, click join, then you can type in your question and we'll go through and answer those at the end of the presentation. So all questions are going to be answered at the end of the presentation. Slido is good because it will tell you if there's a similar question that's already been asked. So then you can just say, yes, that is a question I want to ask. So it just allows us as presenters as well to sort of make sure that we're answering the questions everyone wants and we're keeping it concise for you guys, for listeners as well too. Just another little bit of housekeeping, that panel, that go-to panel, if that's sitting on your screen and you're missing parts of it, just click the little orange arrow, that'll disappear off to the side. If you need to bring it out again for any reason, just click the arrow again and it will re-expand. As I said, questions through slido.com with the event code RPP. You'll see down in the bottom left-hand corner of each of the slides throughout this presentation, it will have the those details if you need to go back and check that so you can ask a question. As I said, we'll answer those at the end. Just a little bit further disclaimer on today's webinar. The contents of this webinar is of a general nature and is for guidance only. Reckon does not provide professional or taxation advice, and viewers should consult a professional advisor for advice on their specific circumstances. So today's webinar is about how single touch payroll works in Reckon One and the process in Payroll Premier in Reckon, and how you need to set Payroll Premier up there. So any questions around specific what summary salary and this sort of thing, those sort of things, you'll need to consult with your professional advisor with. So this is just general advice on how single touch payroll works within Payroll Premier. So single touch payroll is for all businesses. So come 1 July, so next week, all employers that have got the under 19 employees need to start reporting via the single touch payroll data to the ATO. Employers that have over 20 employees should have already been reporting since the 1st of July last year, and therefore if someone hasn't been in there in that slot where you've got a day and a half to get something lodged, otherwise you're non-compliant, and the ATO can, if they feel like it, impose penalties. But if you're 19 and under, that's not applicable for a little while. They've got around till the grace period of around 3 months there. So 1 July, you can start reporting for single touch payroll. So what is single touch payroll? Single touch payroll is just a reporting mechanism from the ATO. So all your pay runs are still processed as you normally do. Employees are set up much the same as you always have done. There's a couple of new things that are mandatory. Super is still paid the way the super is always paid. Employees paid the way they are. POIG withholding paid the same way. If there's anything else at all, everything you do the same way. The thing that has changed is that you now have to just report at the time of each pay run, that pay run data. So your gross, the tax, super is the main thing for all employees, but it also will include allowances, deductions, and any salary sacrifice super as well too. So this needs to be reported to the ATO. So basically it's year-to-date information that is being reported each and every time as well too, and we'll talk through this as we go through as well. So it is just pay run information, basically what sits on a pay slip under the year-to-date column, I suppose, is one way of looking at it. So how to be ready for STP. So sign up to Reckon Gov Connect STP. We've created a brand new product called Reckon Gov Connect for lodging STP. So you still have your Payroll Premier as you always do. So you sign up for Reckon Gov Connect, register your Gov Connect software ID with the ATO, and we're going to go through all of this through today's webinar. Upgrade to Payroll Premier 2018-19 at the moment, and the 19-20 update will be due this week as well too. Familiarize yourself with exporting the file from Payroll Premier and uploading to Gov Connect. So I'll show you that as we go today as well. So the Reckon Gov Connect STP, what is this? So it is a free to use, so use the Reckon portal account is required. So the Reckon portal is where we have our Reckon One product, our Reckon Cloud POS, Better Clinics, Better Bookings programs in there, all cloud-based software there. So you do need access to the internet to be able to use the Reckon portal, but you just need to go on there to be able to import and send that data. Payroll Premier is still on your desktop as you always have. So it's accessible via Reckon portal, portal.reckon.com. Incidentally, this webinar is being recorded and it will be put up on our YouTube channel. So if you have missed anything, you can always go back and look at it. So as I said, portal.reckon.com, and you sign up within there. It is its own individual product. It opens independently from anything else within there. So then this is a bit of a snapshot. This is what the Gov Connect looks like. It's just got your Payroll Premier sitting in there, ready to upload the data and submit with the ATO. So how do I go about getting all of this? So we're going to start with the Reckon portal. So as I said, go to portal.reckon.com and then you just need to register for free. Don't have an account, register, click there. You can use the traditional email and password to sign up and verify your email address, or if you'd like, you can use Google or Office 365 for your sign in. So it's just going to use those credentials. Once you've signed in and done the verification, jump in there. If you ever forget your password, it's just a matter of hitting help, I forgot my details, and you can reset the password. When I've logged into that, what we'll see first of all is we'll see the My Products area. I do have this enabled for our Reckon One product already, but you guys don't need to worry about that. What you'll need to look for is under the available products, you'll see Reckon Gov Connect. You can see that just on the left-hand side of my screen here. So this one here, Reckon Gov Connect, you can see that where I'm pointing to at the moment. Click on that, or alternatively, you can go up to the top to add product and then to ReckonGov Connect, and then you can create that from there. So once I've done that, it'll prompt me for multi-factor authentication. So this needs to be enabled. So multi-factor authentication, it's brand new from the ATO. Basically, anything service that touches the ATO needs to have multi-factor authentication enabled. You might already be used to it, or with things like if you've got a MyGov account, a lot of the banks use it. I know I have to do it every time I log into my Qantas account. So there's a lot of places, even where you want to be a little bit surprised, where multi-factor authentication is enabled. So we need to set that up as well too. So just a little bit further on that multi-factor authentication, as I said, it is a new ATO rules around security. It is a mandatory thing, but the good thing about it is in there. Once you put the multi-factor authentication prompt in once, it does stay in the system for 30 days. So you don't have to ask, it doesn't ask you again for 30 days, but it will ask you again if you change device, if you go onto another computer or something, because it is all cloud-based, you don't have to stay on your computer. It'll ask you again. So the prompt is built into the portal application for GovConnect. So there are different ways that we can get the multi-factor authentication code via the SMS if you're not using a smartphone. The Google Authenticator is the other way. It's an app, so for a mobile phone, or it is also a Chrome browser add-on as well too. So we find a few people do like the Chrome browser add-on. So the SMS code, so this is what the screen looks like after you've said, let's enable multi-factor authentication. Pop in your mobile number, send the code. When the code is received on your phone, just type it into the box. You can see the message on the right-hand side and then click verify. You'll always need access to that mobile phone number to do the MFA whenever it needs to. And so the other thing I will also mention here as well too is if you've got more than one person going to be doing the submission, each of those people need their own portal account as well too. So don't share your portal accounts because as you can see, MFA gets linked back to a phone number or an app on a phone there. If you don't want to use SMS code, you can click the link down the bottom there. I want to use Google Authenticator instead, and you can choose that if you want. But let's just stick with the SMS code, Google Authenticator. Clicking on that, it says go to the App Store or the Play Store, download the Google Authenticator app, and then open it up, and it asks you to just scan that QR code that's sitting on the middle of the screen. So just scan that, and it will then lock your email address into the app. It'll come up with the 6-digit number that rolls around every 60 seconds on your phone. Enter the code into that as well too, into there, and verify. Again, you'll always need this at different points to access GovConnect, so don't delete the authentication app or the access code or anything from your phone, because then you'll get into a whole world of pain around that. Alternatively, if you don't want to use your phone for that, you're always going on to work and you're getting in there, we can use the Chrome browser add-on. As I say, it is for Chrome and Chrome only. Go to the Chrome web store, search for Authenticator. You'll see it come up like that because there are a few, so just to take note, it's Authenticator for Google Authenticator. Then just add it to Chrome, and it will then appear in the top right-hand corner of your browser as the authenticator. Then when I click on that, I just click on that little for the first time use only. When I click on the authenticator, it's got that little box there with the line in it. I'll just gonna show you this one here. So it's just gonna be this one here. Click on that, and that's what allows you to then scan the barcode. It'll lock the email address into the authenticator, and therefore it's there for you whenever you need that. Just click on that and type in the code. Again, don't delete the authenticator in here without at any time. You can if you can delete it, if you revoke the MFA first, which means disconnect this multi-factor authenticator from this email address. And what happens when you've created, whether it's an SMS code, the mobile app, or the Chrome browser add-on, after you've verified, it's going to ask you to, it's going to provide you with a recovery pin. We'll generate one for you, easily recommended, or you can create your own. You need to make sure that you store this somewhere securely. So take a photo of it, take a screenshot of it, put it on your computer, put it in a couple of different places, because if you ever lose your phone, you can't remember and you can't get on, and you need to revoke the multi-factor authentication authority, you will need this recovery code to put that into the system to go and cancel that MFA on there and reset up. And as it says there, it is only known to you, it cannot be retrieved by Reckon, so please make sure it is recorded securely. So when I've gone through that process, it takes me to Reckon Gov Connect Single Touch Payroll getting started. So what I want to do here is, this is how I add my STP entity. I know we've also might have some of the accountants and bookkeepers on here, as well as a number of end users. It is highly recommended that this is set up under the business owner's portal and then shared back to the accountant or the bookkeeper if they're doing any lodgement on behalf of, because the data belongs to that business owner. So then it travels with them. So if they ever change advisors, they've always got access to their single touch payroll. If an accountant or bookkeeper was to set it up under their own login, then that's stuck with them. So make sure it's set under the business owner. Even if they never go in and use it, still set it up under there, share it back with the bookkeeper, and I'll talk about sharing afterwards. But we'll go click on adding an STP entity. It asks you to put in your ABN or WPN. The legal name will come through after I click verify from the ABR, and the email address is the email address I've used when I set up the portal account, so that's going to pre-fill. So when I click verify, it's going to come up with my legal name, and that legal name is what's registered with the ABR. It might be a trust name, it might be a partnership name rather than a trading name. So just be aware that it might be different to what you're used to. So the legal name is what's on the ABR. Click submit. It asks you to choose which single touch payroll product that you're using. And in this case, we're looking at Payroll Premier. Tick that box and click Save My Settings. If you do move to one of the other products later, we can always just go and add that product at a point in time as well. So click Save My Settings. I go into where the main page for Single Touch Payroll, where all the data will appear. And you'll notice under the name in the top right-hand corner, I've got a very important thing called a software ID. So this is the identifier for the STP software that needs to be registered with the ATO. When you give them a call, the numbers on the screen there, 1300 852 232, or if you've been using an AusKey for doing your BAS and that, you can use the Access Manager to do that, or alternatively, you can get your bookkeeper or accountant to do it on your behalf as well too. But you must register that software ID with the ATO before you do any submissions. So it just sits under the name, and it's always there for you to look at any time. Further to that as well too, up in the top right hand corner, we've got add products, and that's where I can add, if I move from say Payroll Premier to Reckon One Payroll, for example, I would then go and enable Reckon One, and I just do that through add products. Company and advisor info, this is where you'll see all the details for your business. So, and it'll have the legal name there, the address, email, phone number, who the contact is, and another place where you'll see the software ID. Further to that is an add advisor. So if you want your accountant or bookkeeper to submit on your behalf, you need to add their details in here. They can do it once you've shared it with them as well too. But if only one of them can be lodging. If you're going to be lodging it, don't put anything in there. But if your accountant is lodging, they need to put it in there, but you're not going to be able to lodge as an end user as well too. So just be aware of that there. So the details get put in there. As I said, your bookkeeper and accountant can do that. And then When I get back out of that, in the bottom left-hand corner, there's just a little exit button. When I get back to that, under my GovConnect, I will then see my STP entity sitting in there. So anytime I need to go into that, I just click GovConnect, click open, it opens up. You want to share this with your advisor. So then you want your accountant, your bookkeeper to be able to even might just review it or lodge on your behalf. Click on the little 3 dots next to the name to the right and click share with user. Put in their email address and it will say it's successfully shared. And if you need to get rid of anyone, you just click the little bin, it gets rid of those. For each of those people that you share it with, it's going to appear under the shared with me tab for them on this on the GovConnect screen, because it's not their subscription, because that's created by the person who did the sharing. So that's where it'll appear. If you have more than one entity for STP that you need to do stuff for, just go up to add product and click Rec and GovConnect, and you can go through that same process as we just went through. Now, just a little reminder, if you do have questions, pop them into slido.com, go there, put in the event code of RPP, type your question in, and we'll answer all of these at the end of the session. So what do I need to do in Payroll Premier to get myself ready for single touch payroll? So Payroll Premier, we're using an export file process. So you're preparing all your lodgements directly in Payroll Premier. You can then review it in Rec and GovConnect before you submit. So we're supporting that desktop family of products while offering an STP solution. So this is great. You're not having to go to cloud for the payroll processing, just for that submitting to the ATO. So some of the things we need to make sure that we have right in Payroll Premier, and I'm not going to be looking at individual employees and that sort of thing. It's just the tips that you need to make sure there is there, because you've been using Payroll Premier for a number of years. You probably know it more better than half of us do as well too. So, but this is what we need to make sure is right. So this company name in here under the company information under file needs to make sure that matches what's on the ABR. So that's what's come through when you set this up. So I'm just going to skip back a couple of screens here. When you set this up, and that name that comes through here on the GovConnect entity tile, that name is what needs to be in this company name area in Payroll Premier. I'm also just watching and waiting for the screens to catch up. So just make sure that that name matches there. If you want to, if you're a trust and then you want to use your company name, just stick it in the trading name within there for what you want there. The good thing is, because it's Payroll Premier, it's not affecting any invoices and that sort of thing. So the company name under the numbers area, just need to make sure that the ABN is correct as well too. And then we also need to go into the employees, have a look at them as well. So make sure we've got the correct address for the employee and pop that one in there, make sure that's all up to date. We also need to make sure, and something this is mandatory now under single touch payroll, is employee numbers as well too. So just double check everyone's got an employee number within there. So just under the company information on when you edit the employee. The other thing we just need to make sure of is that allowances are adjusted. So the ATO have said they've got, they specified some allowance types. You can give them whatever name you want, but the type it belongs to needs to fit in with the ATO allowances list. So just make sure that you go through and adjust your allowances to fit into that list as well too, if you're using those. The other thing as well too, hire dates for employees need to be correct when they're actually hired, because it's just all part of the ATO data matching area as well. So when I finish my pay run, I process my pays as I always normally do. To actually do the single touch payroll process, I go up to reports, come down to single touch payroll, and then click process STP report. So I click on that and it will generate a single touch payroll report, and it'll tell you if from that indicator on the left hand side of the screen here, I've got this valid. It'll tell you, making sure everyone's correct with all their information. Tax file numbers, of course, need to be set correctly. I know this is the dummy file, the sample file that's in Payroll Premier, so they're all just set as per that. It's going to show you all the information for the employee. So remember, with the single touch payroll data, it's sending through year-to-date information. You'll see this is all going to be year-to-date rather than individual pay run information. It'll show you the date of that pay run, and it'll then show you the totals as well too. Up the top there as well, I've also got a couple of other options: full file replacement and an update event. Full file replacement is if I've completely stuffed up everyone's pays for the last whatever, I need to replace everything ATO have. So I'd tick that, and it's uploading that event as a full file replacement. Update events is if I need to adjust someone's tax file number because they didn't have one, I need to add it on, they've changed their address, that sort of thing. So it's just updating minor details. Click that, and it's just telling the ATO that this is an update rather than a new event. So, and that just picks that one employee up. So we've got those different ways we're communicating with there. Otherwise, it's just a normal event. When I'm happy with that, I just click this export button, and then what that's going to do for me after I click the export button, it'll export a JSON file, JSON file, and it'll just take it to the export folder that's created for Single Touch. So just click OK for that location, and it will then save that there. Just remember where that is. It'll give it a name excuse me, of today's date within there. So the event types, we just spoke about those. I jumped the gun a little bit there when I was talking about them, but we've got the normal pay events. Sorry, I'm just waiting on the screens to catch up here. Okay. Normal pay events, so that's just your normal pay reporting. Single touch payroll needs to be reported each and every single time a pay run occurs. Legislation has stated that this must occur on or before the employee pay date, not 3 days after the fact, not a day after the fact, not a week after the fact. It must be done on the day that it is paid. The rationale behind that is for two reasons. Fair Work defines that pay slips have to be given to the employees on the day they are paid, and also you're doing payroll at the time when you're doing that. Might as well just go on and submit the rest of your pay data to the ATO as well. Full file replacement, that error correction, update event, just new record information, and then final pay event. So someone's been terminated or they've left, it marks them automatically as a final pay. And then we've got the end of year finalization, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later on as well too. So what happens with Rec and Gov Connect? So I've exported that file in Payroll Premier. I need to then get it into Gov Connect so I can upload that as well too. So just remember, if you have questions, go to slido.com, type in the event code RPP, answer the question there. We're going to be answering all questions on slido.com. So please don't put questions in the GoToWebinar, put questions on slido.com. So then what we're going to do is everyone can see them. We can sort the questions a lot better as well too. So if you do have questions, go to slido.com and enter the event code RPP, type your question in. Okay, so when I'm in Single Touch Payroll, I go in and I click, go into that, I click on Gov Connect. If I need to do multi-factor authentication, I do that. And I'm sitting there and Payroll Premier is there with no data. I just click on the updated, the upload button, click upload, and I choose the report type. So whether this is a new pay run or a full file replacement. So new pay run, it's just a normal everyday event. I send that information through there. I choose that. Full file replacement is if I'm that error correction as I spoke about, or if it's an update event, choose that. So it is very important that you pick the right one there. Choose confirm. It asks you to grab that file you can, where you've saved that to, and I can put that onto there as well. So that information will come through. It'll show me the payment date. It'll give me the latest pay run up the top. That'll sit at the top as number 1. The number of employees will be showing. The status is draft, total gross, total PAYG, if it's an update event or not. Don't worry about the branch. That just, even if you don't use branches, this is the way that works. If you're happy with everything, you can hit submit. If you realize there's something wrong, I can delete, fix it up in Payroll Premier, re-export and send back through and re-upload. If I want, I can then click on the detail button. The detail will actually show me each employee that is in this STP event. So I've got my employees there showing me all of their information. So if I'm happy with that, I can I can submit all from there. Or if I need to fix something up, delete and redo it in Payroll Premier, re-export, as I said before. So I'm happy with that. Further to that, this is what I mean. We've got total visibility through GovConnect on everything that is being submitted through here. So I can click on the detail next to, say, John Barrington, and I can see his address, phone number, email, date of birth, all of that sort of thing as well within there. So I'm getting that full visibility of everything that I am seeing for Payroll Premier, or for the pay for STP. So how do I submit? So I'll just go back to my employee list or the front screen. I click on submit or submit all. That data will go through. If you're a business owner doing this submission, you will get a declaration that you need to just type your name in to sign and confirm and send that to the ATO. So you're using where you're doing all the lodgements on your behalf. So this is why you needed to put the software ID in and register that with the ATO. So that's, if you haven't done that, it will throw an error message back at you to go back and fix it up. So if your accountant or bookkeeper is lodging on your behalf, they're going to have a slightly different message. Just if we've got any of those guys on the line, we can then send this through they've just got that slightly different declaration. Hit confirm. It's going to come back with one of 3 status messages. So it's going to give you a success, which is great, receipt number, happy days, don't have to do any more. Forget about this until I do my next pays. Sometimes you might get a pending where they're slightly busy at the time. It's going to update and just go back and check to make sure that's updated within there. The other one that you'll get is an error message, and it's going to have a thing here saying, please click here, click on the link to show you what that error message is. Click on that, follow the details, all the information there to fix that up and resubmit to the ATO with that error as well. So just got those different ways that we can look at the error messages there. So do keep an eye on that. The ATO have said that we as software providers have to report the error messages and the status. So, and then it's up to you as the business owners to check those. So just to recap on that STP process, create your GovConnect account through the Reckon portals, through portal.com. Enable and configure for STP in your company file, as we've just spoken about. Complete your pay run as you normally do. Export the file, and then open GovConnect, upload it, and submit to the ATO. So it's a fairly straightforward sort of process. End of year finalization is the next thing I want to look at. So so just want to recap. Questions, slido.com, enter the event code of RPP. That's just the code we're using for this. RPP, put your questions in there. We'll answer those at the end of today's webinar on slido.com. So go to slido.com, enter in your questions, we'll answer those. So end of year finalization. So this is replacing payment summaries. Using single touch payroll means no more payment summaries, no more empty files. Don't have to worry about that anymore. A lot of you are sitting on the call now, probably sitting in that under 19 mark, so you don't need to worry about end of year finalization this year. You're starting single touch payroll from next week, so don't need to worry about it. If you have done any single touch payroll submissions for this financial year, you will need to go through this end of year finalization process, different to the other one there. So with the end of year finalization with Payroll Premier, it's going to show all the employees paid during the financial year. You choose the employees that you need to, and they'll be marked as final. and you're choosing an update event, because what you're saying to the ATO is I'm giving you an update to say everything I've sent you throughout the year, or the last lot of figures I sent you, is correct to what they've been paid. There's no changes to that. You can update it to say it's final, and it can be released out to the employees' MyGov accounts, to the tax agent's pre-fill report for doing the tax returns, and you don't need to hand out payment summaries and all of that sort of thing anymore. The system will still provide them, print them if you want, but they're not a legal document anymore, so you don't have to worry about them. But if someone asks for them, you can still print them off, but they're not required. Nothing needs to get sent to the ATO. But as I say, if you haven't been using Single Touch Payroll for the 2019 financial year, you don't need to worry about this. Still do everything the way you did as well. So when I'm in and process my Single Touch Payroll, there's an option up in the top left-hand corner for end of financial year that I click on, and it just creates my report type. I select my employees, creates that report that I export. When I'm in GovConnect, I'm just updating a previous submission to say it's correct. Grab that file I just exported with the final and upload that to GovConnect. Instead of being a no to an update event, instead it's going to be yes, and I click yes, and then I go through my submission process like I do with any other end of year submission that I've done for STP. So some of the frequently asked questions that we have found with Single Touch Payroll. So just going to have a look at some of these here as well too. So as I say, if you do have questions that have come through, just go on to slido.com, type in the event code RPP, click join, type your question. So what is the time frame for submitting STP reporting after the pay run? Legislation from the ATO has stated you will need to submit your STP data on or before the day the employee expects to receive their pay. So when you complete that pay run, there's no if, buts, maybes, what have yous. No correspondence is entered into the ATO. They have clearly stated it needs to be done on that day. If you submit on a weekly basis, it needs to be done on a weekly basis. If there's no flexibility on that. There's no there. If your process is different, pays are just done, people come in and fix up the pay run on a monthly basis or whatever, your process needs to change. It needs to be submitted on the day the pay run is there. This is not a reckon thing. This is an ATO legislation. It needs to be done on the day. So if things are done differently, processed monthly, paid weekly, your processes need to change to make that happen. If you go on a holiday, how do you submit STP? You need to share your GovConnect entity with someone else in your business so they can lodge it on your behalf, give it to your accountant as well, share it with them, or submit it in advance if you've got no one else to do that as well. So you're allowed to submit in advance. So that's what they say. It has to be done at the time that it needs to be, that it's been paid and processed. Another one we get often is, can the file be uploaded STP, uploaded via the business or tax agent portal like you do for your BAS and that sort of thing? No. The ATO have said that they're not providing the ability to ever do this. This is up to the software providers, and this is what we've done from Reckon. There is an STP report area on the business or tax agent portal to see what has been submitted, but there is no way that this can be submitted through the ATO portals. It is done through the software. So just be aware of that. A couple of other things. So can we have more than one person accessing a single GovConnect STP account? Yes, but you need to have a separate portal account for everyone due to the multi-factor authentication. Because I'm not going to have, say if I'm working with John, I'm not going to have John's phone if I need to do MFA. So everyone needs their own login, share the entity, and so if I'm away, John can do the submission, for example. What if I make a mistake in one employee's pay after I've submitted STP? So at the next pay event, enter the correct amount as year-to-date figure and it will be updated, or edit the employee's pay in Payroll Premier and create and submit an update event to the ATO via GovConnect. So it's not the end of the world if something goes wrong. You can just easily do an update event, correct it, tell the ATO again with there as well too. Further to that, what if I need to change my multi-factor authentication device? So SMS to Google Authenticator, or I want to go from the Google Authenticator to SMS. You'll need to revoke your current MFA access on the Reckon portal and re-establish with a new method. So how do we do that one there? So needing to revoke that MFA. So when I'm in the portal, up in the top right-hand corner, we've got our little person icon. I click on that, scroll down the bottom, and you've got multi-factor authentication. So it states whether it's enabled, and you want to click revoke. So this is where I click on revoke, and it asks me to put in either my recovery PIN that I've stored securely, or my MFA code if I've still got access to that device. So this is why I need to store that securely, because if I lose my phone, I can't do MFA code. I need to do my recovery PIN. Click submit, it's going to revoke that. So the next time you click on GovConnect, it's going to say, you don't have MFA set up. And you say, yep, okay, let's set that up, and you can put it on with your new phone, or you can choose your new way, Google Authenticator instead of SMS, for example. Some people also ask how to edit the company information in Reckon GovConnect. So they might look at that and go, oh, my phone number's wrong, my address is wrong, oh, my contact's changed, I've got a new payroll officer. You go back into Payroll Premier, change everything in the company information, and next time you do that export of the STP data, it's going to update this information in there. So you can't edit it within here, you just then go through and add it into there. So just some common error messages we have coming through. So this is the last bit, then we'll get on to questions. So just a reminder with questions, slido.com, put in the event code of RPP and click join, pop the questions in there, and we'll go through those. Sometimes we'll get this message coming up, failed to save payrun data, payrun event data. So we've just got a corrupt JSON file. It's been exported wrong, invalid characters in there or something, double quotation marks. Just go through and just re-export that one and have another and try it again. Sometimes an instant payroll event requires property gross, payroll detail, and so forth. That means when you've got an update event, you've chosen new pay event instead of instead of update event, you've uploaded that. So just go try it again and choose update instead in that way. Unable to create a subscription with STP when you're first setting up GovConnect. So sometimes this is because the ABN is already registered with GovConnect. You might have already tried to put it in there. Someone might have used your ABN, which is a bit of a concern as well. But the ABN's already been registered with GovConnect. Or the other way is your portal profile is incomplete. So just clicking on that little person up in the top right-hand corner. So just up here, so just clicking on that, completing your profile. So you need to just make sure that your first name, last name are all completed in there. That'll be the reason behind that more often than not. When you're trying to put in your multi-factor authentication code, it's going to say, please type the correct code, even though it is right. It's just a sync error with the Google Authenticator. And so it's just a matter of, depending on which, whether you're using an Android or an Apple phone, which way we fix that up. If you do come across that, just give the support team a call and they'll be able to guide you through that one as well. And they'll be able to guide you through any of these errors as well too. When I'm trying to export that data or import that in, I'm getting this message saying invalid company information. So ABN, company name, they don't match. So just need to go into the company information and make sure that the name is correct. So it matches what's on the ABR. I also need to make sure that my ABN is correct as well too. And if you have got a branch you just need to go under preferences and check that there's no branch number there as well. So it's just those little things, phone numbers as well. Just need to make sure that everything is correct and make sure it all lines up. Sometimes you'll get an ATO pull request error. So what that basically means is the ATO is overloaded at the moment. They've just got extended processing times. Just try again and the status should update for you. So just because it's a bit of ATO speak, that's why we put this there as a notifier. This is what that pull request means in there. So just some recap on getting ready for STP. So just perform that data audit. Make sure your company information in your file is correct. Ensure the employee start dates are correct. Employee numbers are now required. TFNs are correct. And also let employees know what is happening as well too. So they need to know of all these changes. So for that, we've actually created a guide and a checklist and even an info sheet for the employee. So just under reckon.com, single touch payroll, have a look for that. And we can then you've got all that information at your fingertips. Just remember, we've also got our Reckon Help Center, help.reckon.com, step-by-step guides on setting up GovConnect, getting everything ready for STP, as well as our knowledge base of kb.reckon.com. Just search for STP in there, and a lot of those error messages that we were just talking about will come up as well too. And of course, give our customer support team, tech support team, if you have any technical issues, having troubles with upgrading, you need to upgrade, get in touch with customer service, support if you've got questions around getting all these errors and that, get in touch with the support team within there. So, going to go on to questions now. So if you do have questions, go to slido.com, type in the event code RPP, click join, type your question in, and we will endeavour to answer those as well. I've got our community manager, Rav, on the line as well too. So he's going to help along with some of these questions. So I'm going to flick over to the questions because I know we've got a few coming up as well. Now, I just need a moment of a breather. Can I throw over to you, Rav, to start answering a couple of these first questions there, please, mate?
Yeah, no problem at all. Okay, let's just start from the top here. So first question is, running Premier for the 2018-19 year, will I need to upgrade to 19-20 before I lodge my final 2019 report? Does this cause any tax table problems? So the answer to this question, it's very situational. So if you have any employees that you've paid throughout the financial year who aren't included in the last pay event for the year, so just to repeat that, if you have any terminated employees, for example, that you've paid earlier in the financial year, they aren't going to be included in the last pay event for the year, the last pay run. So what you need to do is you need to do the end of year finalization process in Payroll Premier. So to answer your question, if you are in that situation, you need to upgrade to the new version of Payroll Premier, which I believe is coming out either, I think it's tomorrow, I believe, or that could be subject to change, but I believe it's tomorrow. Once you upgrade to the new version, go through the end of year finalization process that Corey's run through the webinar earlier, and that will bring up all of the employees, regardless of whether they're terminated or not, and that will mark them as final, and you send that off to the ATO through GovConnect. Just a note on this, we've got a really good end of financial year finalization guide on help.reckon.com. That's help.reckon.com. Just go to that website, click on Reckon Payroll Premier on the left, and it's got two guides. One is a STP step-by-step guide going through the whole process, and another article which is just for end of financial year. So just help.reckon.com. All right, so let's move on to the next one. We have a pay run today, which is the last pay run of the year. Do we still need to upload the STP as usual? End of year process is separate, isn't it? So again, this is very similar to the last question. So it's very situational. If you have an employee that is, if you have an employee or employees that aren't in the last pay run of the year, you need to do the finalization process in the new version of Payroll Premier that's coming out very soon. Okay, can you please show end of year process again on how to upload the final info to the ATO? I don't think we're going to go over it here, but again, there's a really good step-by-step guide on help.reckon.com. So just go to that website, click on Reckon Payroll Premier on the left, and there's a guide there for processing your end of financial year pay events.
I'll just add on that too, Rav, just because of time as well too. This has been recorded, so it will be up on our YouTube channel to watch at your own leisure as well too.
Awesome. All right, so it's moving on to the next one. What repercussions from selecting new upload instead of updated? I think you mean update event. Okay, so in the Reckon Payroll Premier product, so when you are actually, I don't know if this is relating to end of financial year or not, but regardless, if you actually, I'll touch on the end of financial year one first. If you're processing an end of financial year pay event, so a final pay event, it will automatically, the Reckon Payroll Premier product will automatically tag that pay event file as a update event. When you import that file into Reckon GovConnect, there's an option there that says update event or finalize year. Now, if you choose at the GovConnect stage, if you choose new pay event, for example, it will spit back an error, which basically will let you know that it's there's something's gone wrong there. So you just need to go back and select the correct upload method. So it's all pretty self-explanatory in the sense that it will there are options there that let you know which one you need to select, and obviously you just select the appropriate one. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, the one on screen there that you can see. So new pay run, a full file replacement on the left there at the top, and update a previously completed ATO submission for an update event. I believe that that's also been updated, I think yesterday. So that will also say end of year finalization as well. So it's all pretty clear there for you. Okay, the next question is, how do I remove a business from GovConnect? Well, there's a few steps in that. It's if you've might need a bit more context on that question, but to remove a business from GovConnect, you do need to get in touch with us because there are a few things that we need to check off. If there have been STP submissions made for that business in GovConnect, we can't remove it, like we can't delete it. It needs to be retained. But there are some other avenues that we can explore. So for example, if you set up the wrong company in GovConnect by putting in the wrong ABN, we can obviously deal with that. But I would highly suggest getting in touch with us just so we can have a chat and have a look at what's actually transpired there. Okay, are there any problems if you change employee IDs during the year, i.e. from numbers to letters? Yeah, so I think for this question, yeah, so there can be some pretty complicated problems if you do change midway through. So to be honest, if I were you, I would think about a employee, like just to keep it simple, just keep it with numbers, like 1 to however many employees, 1 to 10, 1 to 20. I would highly recommend that you don't change the employee numbers. From what I understand, yeah, it can be pretty complicated in terms of the reporting that that the ATO receives for the employees, if there are any changes to that. So I just stick with a convention from the start and stick with that convention. Just on that note, employee numbers can be alphanumeric, so but they must be unique. But as I said, if it's an option for you, please don't change it midway through. Alrighty, bank authority to disclose information form, where do we locate it? I'm not actually sure what this question is relating to, but I believe this is probably more bank data related. And I believe bank authority to disclose information forms are available from the banks themselves, from the bank websites. Yeah, hopefully I've answered that question. I'm not too sure what that question is relating to specifically, but yeah, I believe these forms are available from the bank websites themselves. Okay, moving along. Should I worry that I have some weeks showing as error in STP, providing current week as success? checked errors and they're rubbish. So if your current pay event, if your latest pay event is a success, shows success in GovConnect, that means your year-to-date balances are up to date. There's no sort of further action. I assume that because the latest one is success, you've gone back and corrected whatever errors were affecting those prior ones. In most cases, errors are relating to sort of invalid information in an employee record or in the setup. In most common one is invalid or special characters. So like I said, I assume you've already corrected those errors, seeing as that your current one is success. And because you've done that, because your latest pay event is successful, your year-to-date balances are up to date. Okay, how do we deal with terminated employees prior to starting STP? So if you haven't started STP yet, you just use your regular method of in financial year finalization. So that is, going through the MTube file process. But obviously, from what I understand, you can also, if your first STP report is finalizing the end of year, that will deal with all the terminated employees. So just to clarify that a bit more, if you want to start STP by performing a STP finalization event, so like the process that we've run over in terms of finalizing your end of year, that will bring up all of the terminated employees along with active employees, and it can be sent as your first STP event if you'd like. Otherwise, you can just stick with your regular impute method and then start fresh from the new financial year. Okay, have you fixed the ABN branch error in Payroll Premier despite changing the branch code to 000 multiple times in Payroll Premier? It appears the export file as 1. Yeah, I believe that was fixed quite a while ago, to be honest. If you're still experiencing that, please get in touch with us. It would be pretty keen to get some more info around that. From what I understand, yeah, that was solved pretty early in the piece last year. Yeah, please do get in touch with our tech support team, and we'll explore that a bit more. Does Payroll Premier have a unique software ID? If so, where is it located? So it's not Payroll Premier that has a software ID, but it's more so GovConnect, your STP entity in GovConnect that has a software ID. So yeah, Corey's just bringing it up on screen in a sec here, but so you'll see that there up in the top left corner, just under the business name. So that is the number that you need to register with the ATO prior to submitting any pay events. Well, I mean, obviously you can, if you've already submitted a pay event, you'll notice that it will come back as an error and it will tell you that the software ID is not registered. So just there on the top left, once you've set up the STP entity in GovConnect, top left there, take that number, give the ATO buzz, they'll ask for the software ID number, give that to them, and you should be all set after that point. Okay, we're just going to hop back to the questions. Hopefully, okay, here we go. Will reportable fringe benefits appear as part of the final pay event? Corey, do you know too much about this end of things?
I'm just trying to think. So, because reportable fringe benefits sit in a different year, so I'm pretty sure they're not part of, there is a bit of a grey area around that. We'll need to probably get a bit more information on that. So if that person could let us know some more details, we could get back to them.
Awesome, thanks, Corey. Okay, what happens if on GovConnect all employees have your business listed twice? Can this be fixed through Reckon? What happens if on GovConnect all employees have your business listed twice? I'm not quite sure what that's referring to be honest. What happens if on GovConnect all employees have your business listed twice? I haven't seen that occur in GovConnect. I'm not quite sure which area of GovConnect you might be referring to, but obviously if there's something that that's in GovConnect that you need some more info, or if we need to have a look at, then obviously we'll definitely have a look at it. Sorry, I'm not. Yeah, I haven't come across anything that sort of lists twice. Yeah, maybe give us a buzz on that. And we'll take a closer look on
Yeah, I
that.
haven't
Yeah.
seen it either, Rav. That's what I
Yeah.
was going to say. Just give the tech support guys a call, and yeah, they'll
Yeah.
help out.
Yeah. Awesome. How do you remove a company from GovConnect? No STP submissions done yet, starting from 1st July. How do you remove a company? To remove a company from GovConnect, you do need to get in touch with us. There are a few sort of parameters there that we need to just make sure that there are no submissions, which obviously in your question you mentioned there aren't. So do give us a buzz, give our tech support team a buzz, and we'll be able to sort that out. End of year finalization has to be done in 1920 version, correct? So if you have got employees that you've paid at the start when you first started STP, if those same employees are at the end of the year, so they are all still present in your final pay event, your final pay event, then you can do it in the current version that you're running. But if you have terminated employees, or if you have employees that aren't going to appear in the last pay event of the year, then you need to do the finalization process in the new version of Reckon Payroll Premier. There's a specific new button, a new feature, a new function that's coming out in this new version, and that will finalize all of your employees. I'll just, once again, it's help.reckon.com. There's a full end of year financial finalization guide there that will show you step by step, including images to show you exactly what I'm sort of referring to. Okay, and the last question.
Just before we go on to that next one, yeah, sorry, Rav,
Yeah,
just
sure.
before we go on to that
Yeah,
one, just noticed it has gone 1 o'clock. I know people might have to go on that sort of thing. Just if you do want to access a recording of this webinar, it will be on the Reckon YouTube channel later on today. So yeah, that's where it will be available if you need to rewatch it. So just I'll throw that in before anyone needs to run off.
Awesome. Thanks, mate. Okay, and the last question, further to terminate employees have already started STP, but have employees that were terminated prior, and obviously the data has not been submitted yet. So again, that's sort of similar to the last question before. You will have terminated employees that aren't included in the last pay event of the year that you're about to do. So just upgrade to the new version, go through the end of year finalization process that will bring up those terminated employees as well. And that will be used to as your final event, which you will send to the ATO through GovConnect. And the last one, that answers the last question. Thanks, I need a new version. Yeah. So it's not too far off. I believe it might be tomorrow afternoon, but we'll obviously have emails going out and announcements on the community, the Reckon community as well, to let you know as soon as it's available. All right, I think that's the end of the questions. Thanks everyone for your questions. Hopefully we've answered them. If you need any more information, like I said, help.reckon.com is a really, really good resource for both the whole process and from start to finish, and also the end of year finalization. Oh, the last one's come through. Does the company?
There? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just quickly answer this one before we wrap up. Does the company name in Reckon GovConnect needs to match the name in Reckon Payroll Premier? So we've done a little bit of an update on this. So the thing that needs to match is the ABN. So you need to have the ABN in your Reckon Payroll Premier product and Reckon GovConnect matching. Those two will read each other from the ABN. The legal name, obviously try and keep it as close to possible as to what's displayed in the ABR. That's my recommendation. It doesn't need to completely match anymore, but we recommend that you do keep it pretty consistent. All right, awesome.
Okay, so we've gone over time here, so no, just if you do have any other questions and queries, appreciate everyone's days are busy and that sort of thing. If you have any technical issues, errors and that sort of thing, give the tech support guys a call. Otherwise, if you do have any, sorry, I'll just skip through a few screens back to where I should have been. Oops, I've gone far too far there. If you do have any questions around this webinar as well, feel free to get in touch with us as well too. Just on regarding the webinar or something, training.reckon.com. But if you do have the tech support queries, do get in touch with the tech support guys and they'll be able to help you out there as well. But want to thank everyone for their time. As I said, this is recorded. It will get it up onto the YouTube channel, the Reckon YouTube channel later on today as well. Do you have anything else you want to add at all, Rav?
No, thanks everyone for your attendance. Some good questions coming through. Hopefully, it's a smooth process for everyone. It should be, but as I said, we're here to help if you need anything. And like I said, yeah, help.reckon.com for our guides should help you out as well. Thanks, everyone.
No worries, thanks, Rav. I'll now close off the recording and have a good day. Thank you for attending.